Kaiser Glide was the most talented adventurer of his age, bagging his adventurer's license way before he learned how to rizz up girls. After learning swordplay from a master of the art and practicing magic with an ancient sage, he joined the Adventurers Guild, on track to becoming the youngest S rank in history. That was until one day when his life took a drastic plunge during a rank mission where he violently battled wyverns inhabiting a volcano. Kaiser ignored the risks of taking on the mission alone and made it rain wyverns' blood. After slaying the last wyvern, Kaiser sheathed his sword and took out a knife to cut out some materials to take back to the guild. While searching the dead wyverns for loot to pay his expiring rent, Kaiser felt an irregular movement around him, so he looked up and spotted a cloud of dust above the mountain. Surprised by the unusual size of the wyvern, Kaiser looked closer and discovered that, unlike a wyvern, the monster had 4 legs and 2 huge wings. Just then, he figured it was an S-rank ancient dragon, and he had just awakened it. Suddenly, the dragon took to the sky while Kaiser watched it leave. After a short while, he realized the dragon was headed towards the town under the volcano, so he quickly dashed after the dragon. Suddenly, Kaiser pulled his brakes, and his eyes widened as he wondered what just happened. The dragon had landed in the village and destroyed everything in its path. While the dragon roared victoriously, Kaiser watched in fear and disbelief. Just then, the dragon leaped off the ground and flew away while Kaiser hurried towards the ruins. On getting there, he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the havoc wreaked by the dragon. So, he started looking to see if anyone survived the disaster, but the more he called out, the louder the silence he got in response. After the dust from the rubble cleared, Kaiser wondered how no one survived the destruction and blamed himself for not beating the wyverns faster and awakening the ancient dragon. Despite his qualifications as an A-rank adventurer who was supposed to be a prodigy at sword and magic, Kaiser blamed himself for failing to protect the people. When he realizes that he's as useful as a hammer made of glass, Kaiser weeps and calls himself a failure. At that moment, a sound caught his attention, so he dashed in that direction to check it out. When he found the source, he pulled apart the rubble hoping there was a survivor. Suddenly, he freezes when he spots 3 babies crying and teared up when he realizes they're fine. So he reached for the babies and cradled them in his arms. Relieved to have finally found some survivors, Kaiser held the babies close and vowed to take responsibility for them. After he signs the baby daddy contract, he swears to the villagers he couldn't save and walks away while promising to ensure that the children are raised properly. After his return, Kaiser's life took a drastic turn when the other adventurers started blaming him for the destruction of the village, and those who hyped him before trolled him behind his back. While he pushes his new side hustle around, his colleagues gossip about his failure to save the village and insinuate that he got power drunk because he was being called a prodigy. When he hears this, Kaiser feels attacked, but can't argue with them since he blames himself more. However, for the sake of the little gremlins he just found, Kaiser decided to open a daddy daycare. While pushing his cart, Kaiser bumps into a friend who calls him and asks if he plans to retire from being an adventurer. In response, Kaiser blames himself and says he's not qualified to call himself an adventurer. However, his friend disagrees and says it's not true. After this, she tries to make him understand that it's not his fault since the ancient dragon is an S-ranked monster that he couldn't fight no matter how he tried. She then tries to make him feel better by commending him for being a hero who has saved lives. In response, Kaiser says he's happy to finally hear from someone who doesn't think with their toes and thanks her for being a sweetie. After this, Kaiser decides that he only wants to play baby daddy for the rest of his life, while his friend stares at him, bewildered. So she says she understands and bows while he takes his leave. Kaiser had always dreamed of becoming an S-ranking adventurer, but now that has been flushed down the drain because of his new ambition of playing Father of the Year. After he leaves the city, Kaiser returns to his hometown, where he decides to raise the girls away from the crowds and commotion of the city. When he arrived in his hometown, the people wondered if Amazon delivered babies instead of his order for a pet. However, they gave him a warm welcome. After explaining himself to the elder, he got all the help he needed and stayed in a little house on the edge of the town. There, Kaiser begins his new job without an instruction manual. Being his first jab at fatherhood, Kaiser tried to educate the girls from an early age. However, they showed him why people choose to reproduce responsibly. After being constantly serenaded with unhappy noises, Kaiser couldn't wait for them to grow, and so they did, quickly. 10 years later, the girls reached the age of reason and Elsa, the eldest of the 3, was more talented with the sword than other kids her age. Her skill with the sword and her sharpness are on another level entirely. Even with her skill, Elsa was still young, and so she still gets her little behind whipped into shape every time she trains with Kaiser. After taking her beating, Elsa berates herself for failing to land a hit, even after going all out. With an attitude, Kaiser reminds her that he's got 27 years of experience ahead of her, and she still has a long way to go before she can land a hit on him. While she feels bad about this, Kaiser commends her for doing well and greatly improving her skill with the sword. He then helps her get up and hints that she might eventually become a better swordsman than him. Surprised to hear this, Elsa asks if he really meant it. In response, he rubs her head and assures her that she can surely surpass him if she doesn't quit. In addition, Kaiser appreciates her for calling him father, but then asks why she stopped calling him daddy like she used to. Shocked by his question, Elsa struggled to keep her eyes in their place and blushed afterward. In response, she says doing that would ruin her street cred as a swordsman and warrior. Surprised as well, Kaiser asks Elsa if she really doesn't like soft things, and she says that calling him father will make her look like a softie. In addition to this, Elsa says that eating dessert is also a sign of weakness, so Kaiser says it's a shame since they were having apple pie for dessert. When he asks if she can eat something like that, Elsa's eyes suddenly get starry with anticipation for a moment, but she soon controls herself and shyly says she'll have to be soft for that day only. So, Kaiser announces that they have to get the ingredients and asks Elsa to be his tag along, so she agrees to go with him. Despite her attitude, Elsa is a sweet and loving girl who always likes to play in the garden and watch Kaiser practice with the sword. Instead of cuddling bunnies, Elsa prefers to go to sleep with Kaiser's sword from her days as a toddler till she grew into a young lady. On their way to the market, Elsa calls Kaiser and says she'd like to become an adventurer like him when she gets older. She then places a hand on her chest and vows to defeat the dragon Kaiser couldn't defeat. Kaiser then gives her a head rub while thinking of how dangerous it is to be an adventurer and the risks she'll face if she becomes one. After considering this, Kaiser decides it's best if she doesn't walk in his footsteps. However, he figures she'll have to decide for herself since he can't dictate her future. So Kaiser promises to give her a blank check if she wins an upcoming fencing tournament. A week later, during the fencing tournament, Elsa disarms her opponent with her sword and the loser gives up to save himself from being chopped. Just then, an announcement was made that Elsa had just won the year's tournament. Impressed by this, the spectators talked about Elsa's previous wins and concluded she was a genius with crazy strength. After this, they approached Kaiser to state the obvious and to point out that Elsa's skillfulness was a result of his excellent training. However, Kaiser brushes it off and says Elsa is just skillful on her own. While they talked, Elsa ran up waving her medal in the air. While still clutching her medal, she informs Kaiser of her victory in the tournament, and he responds by saying he watched her amazing skill with the sword. When Kaiser commends her for her hard work, Elsa says she'll work harder because she's still a long way from becoming as good as he is. In response, Kaiser says he's looking forward to the day she'll outdo him. Suddenly, Elsa gets serious and asks if he remembers his promise. When Kaiser reiterates his promise to her, he then asks what her request was, but Elsa says it's a secret. So Kaiser pats her head while she blushes and makes a happy sound. To celebrate Elsa's victory, Kaiser decides to make her favorite for dinner. In addition to this, he says she can have more than one plate because it's a celebration. Happy to hear this, Elsa freaks out and says she'd like to have a tournament every day, so she could eat rabbit stew every day. When Kaiser hears this, he says no one would want to go up against her if that ever happens. Suddenly, someone called for help and exclaimed that a monster appeared in the village. Sensing the urgency, Kaiser looks around and finds out where the voice came from, so he tells Elsa to stay put and keep quiet. However, Elsa refuses and decides to go with him. While Kaiser wonders what got into her, Elsa explains that she can fight alongside him since she's now a tournament champion, so Kaiser agrees to this and tells her to stay behind him. As they both dash toward the scene, they spot the beast about to mangle someone, so Kaiser tells Elsa to rescue the victim while he takes care of the beast. Suddenly, the beast gets interested in Elsa and charges towards her. Surprised by the size and fearsome look of the beast, Elsa froze with her sword. Just then, Kaiser senses that Elsa is being overwhelmed, so while the beast dashes towards Elsa, he takes off and grabs the beast by its horns. Unfortunately, the beast stabs Kaiser in his abdomen while Elsa screams. Kaiser then tells her to get behind him while he deals with the monster. To keep Elsa from getting hurt, Kaiser suddenly raises the beast while Elsa watches and crashes it into the ground. Immediately after this, he finishes off the beast with his bare hands and walks away from its body like John Wick after blowing stuff up. He then asks Elsa if she's hurt, but she is focused on his wounds, so she apologizes for thinking a fencing tournament medal is all it takes to be Kratos. In response, Kaiser tells her not to worry and rubs her head. After this, he adds that the first fight is always the hardest and tells her that she'll have to gain experience and improve little by little. With teary eyes, Elsa asks if Kaiser is afraid of monsters, and he says they scare him since some of them are more terrifying than he could ever imagine. However, he says he must fight to protect those who are important to him, and that gives him the strength to not be afraid. In response, Elsa says she's got people to protect too, so Kaiser advises her to dedicate her sword to such people. Just then, Elsa wipes off her tears and agrees with Kaiser, who then suggests that they should get some dinner. As they prepare to leave, Kaiser thinks her defeat will serve as an experience for the future, which will push her to get stronger than she is. Meanwhile, Anna sips from a cup of tea while worrying that Kaiser and Elsa are running late since the fencing tournament should have ended. Knowing Elsa for who she is, Anna thinks she must have won quickly and wonders if something happened to them. However, she stretches and concludes they'll be fine as long as they're together. Just then, Anna gets up and heads out to check up on the mine. Back in the town, when Kaiser completes his shopping and checks through his cart to ensure he's got everything he needs, Giselle commends him for taking out the monster and refuses to take his payment for the food items he got. In response, Kaiser tells Giselle that he wants to repay him for taking care of his house while he is away. Giselle then says Kaiser has always been a man with a strong sense of duty, especially with his work as a guardian in the village. Because of this, there have been fewer demon attacks, and the harvest is likely going to be bigger than they've ever had. While he listens, Giselle says he heard that Kaiser now runs swordsmanship classes for the kids. When Kaiser confirms this, Giselle points out that it's a good idea, just in case something happens. After this, Kaiser says he has no choice since the kids won't stop coming to his house to ask him to teach them. Giselle then recalls that Kaiser bagged himself a flawless victory when he first participated in the fencing tournament and got banned from subsequent tournaments for putting his opponents in crutches or wheelchairs. Giselle then adds that, unlike Kaiser, he would strain his back if he tried to carry the ingredients, despite having strong arms. When Giselle says he wouldn't expect any less from a former rank adventurer, Kaiser brushes it off and says he's now retired. Surprised by his response, Giselle says he's never heard of adventurers having such a system. He then adds that Kaiser would be welcomed with open arms and could easily become an adventurer again if he were to return to the capital. However, Kaiser reveals that he has no intention of doing that since he has enough estrogen in his house to start a skincare empire. Just then, Giselle gets serious and asks if he's told the girls the truth. Confused, Kaiser asks what he means, and Giselle explains that he means the truth about him not being their father. Just then, Kaiser says he's not told them yet, but he plans to tell them when the time comes. Giselle then tells him to think of how shocked the girls will be if they find out that he's not their real father. While Kaiser processes this, Giselle then chips in that it's also a form of kindness to hide the truth. After this, Kaiser agrees with him and changes the conversation by asking if he renovated the interior of the bar. In response, Giselle says that he changed it after Anna advised him to do so. He then adds that he did everything she recommended, and as a result, there have been more customers in the bar than ever before. Furthermore, she also notified Giselle that he was buying his ingredients above the market price, so she negotiated with the vendor. Giselle then says he's awestruck by how the conversation went without either of them getting angry at each other. Just then, he explains that Anna will be exceptionally talented in the future and he must get on her good side while he can. Hearing this, Kaiser points out that Giselle loves money as much as ever. While they enjoyed their conversation, Elsa showed up and called Kaiser. So Kaiser apologizes for keeping her waiting. However, Elsa tells him not to worry since she'd been busy training with her sword while waiting. So, Kaiser tells Giselle to let him know if he needs any help and Giselle sends his regards to Anna. Shortly after this, while they head back home, Kaiser asks Elsa if she met her quota for the day and she says she did. She then reveals that she's thinking about increasing her amount of training since she's been finishing by noon. However, Kaiser tells her not to overdo it since rest is important at times too, as stated by recent studies. While they talked, they spotted someone running towards them. When the scared guy gets closer, Kazes discovers it is Camel and wonders if a monster is chasing him. Just then, Anna shows up after him and calls out to Kaiser to restrain Camel. Meanwhile, Camel bolsters up for a fight and tells Kaiser to get out of his way. However, Kaiser refuses and says he can't deny his daughter's request. So Camel tries to run past Kaiser, who then hits his leg and makes him crash land on his back. When Anna catches up to them, Kaiser asks her why Camel is running away. In response, Anna says that she decided to punish him a little bit for drinking and skipping in the middle of work. Meanwhile, Camel says he can't help it since he can't breathe well inside the mine, so he has to take a breather once in a while. Hearing this, Anna reminds him that that's what his break time is for, and also reminds him of the time schedule of work. Infuriated by her guts, Camel freaks out and says he'll work and go home whenever he feels like it. In response, Anna calmly tells him that he has to work when it's time to work and rest when it's time to rest, in order to be efficient. After this, Anna cites Kaiser as an example and challenges Camel to work hard to earn as much as Kaiser does. Suddenly, Camel points to Kaiser and calls him a complete monster since he alone can do the work of over 100 guys. In response, Anna points out that Camel will have to be at least as good as Kaiser if he wants to complain, infuriating Camel, who then asks what she knows about their work. When she hears this, Anna brags about increasing the mine's profits since she started meddling in their work. She then threatens to step down from the job and report Camel to his boss and his wife. This scares Camel to his core, so he begs Anna and says he'll lose his job and won't be getting any from his wife if she reports him. Anna then tells him to start working without complaining, and he agrees. Afterward, Anna reminds him that he's wasting valuable lunchtime and commands him to return to work immediately. While Camel hurriedly returns to the mine, Anna wonders how, unlike Kaiser, some adults grow up but retain their baby brain. While she grabs her aching head from the stress of dealing with the child trapped in an adult's body, Kaiser points out that she must be having it rough every day since she's supervising the mine and helping with the repair of the damages caused in the village by the last typhoon. In response, Anna says she's helping since she was asked to, and because the experience will be useful once she joins the guild in the future. Just then, Kaiser recalls that Anna's dream is to become a guild master. Meanwhile, Anna insinuates that Elsa is only good at swinging swords and nothing else, so she'll have to manage everything for her. However, Elsa disagrees and says she can do other things besides swinging her sword. Just then, Anna gets in Elsa's face and pokes her nose while asking her questions about how much she needs to live every month. Just then, Elsa tries to calculate it, but discovers that maths is a foreign language she can't speak, so she cringes and gives up. Elsa then sighed in disappointment and resumed her discussion about her ambition to help adventurers like Kaiser as a guild master. Hearing this, Kaiser rubs Anna's head and tells her she can do it, making her blush. Anna then asks if Elsa and Kaiser are on their way home. In response, Kaiser says they are, and announces that he's thinking of making apple pie for dessert since they're having a celebration dinner for Elsa. When Anna hears this, she gets moist with excitement and asks if Kaiser will be the one making it. When Kaiser confirms this, Anna decides to go home with them, but Kaiser asks if she won't get into trouble for leaving work. Anna then grabs Kaiser's arms and says it's fine since no job is as important as his apple pie. Pissed off by this, Elsa calls out Anna and calls her a cheat, but Anna invites Elsa to join them, so they both grabbed Kaiser's arms as they went home. Meanwhile, Kaiser wonders if they're old enough to be told the truth. On their way, some fish seller spots Anna and Kaiser and offers to give them a fish. While Kaiser wonders what they did to deserve the gift, the man explains that it's a token of appreciation for Anna's help with adjusting his expenses. While the man thanks Kaiser, he stares at the fish and wonders how a young girl could have this much influence in her surroundings. After getting more gifts from other people, Kaiser goes home carrying crates of food items stacked on each other. While his daughters discussed how many gifts they got, Kaiser decided he'd have to go over their menus again for the week. When they arrived home, they were surprised to see Meryl's boots in the house. Just then, Kaiser opens her room door and finds her still in bed. He then tells her that it's evening already, while Anna cringes wondering how her sister can be that lazy. So Kaiser grabs her shoulder and shakes her to wake up. However, Meryl requests 5 more minutes to sleep. Having had enough, Kaiser declines her request and shakes her till she wakes up. Just then she says she'll get up in exchange for a peck on her cheeks since princesses wake up after they receive a peck from their prince. Pissed by this, Elsa screams at Meryl, telling her to stop bothering Kaiser since the only throne she's ever getting is the one in the bathroom. Meryl suddenly grabs Elsa's clenched fists and calls her a butt-clenched martinet and then tells Kaiser to hurry up with the peck. So Kaiser pecks Meryl on her cheek while she blushes and goes haywire. When she gets up, she comments that Kaiser was a very good kisser, making the poor loner drip on his forehead. Just then, Meryl suggests that Elsa ask for a kiss too. However, her heart skips a beat, and she suddenly glows like a hot sauce bottle. In response, Elsa freaks out and tells Meryl to stop saying such since a swordsman doesn't need things like kisses. Facing Kaiser, Meryl raises her hands and asks him to change her out of her pajamas. Just then Kaiser discovers she's wearing his shirt and points out that Meryl wants to be spoiled too much. When she says it's because she loves Kaiser a lot, Anna asks her if she doesn't have class at the magic school. Meryl then laughs, saying she skipped the class. However, Anna reminds her that the tuition isn't for free. In response, Meryl says it's always a snooze fest at school since it's a class of dummies. Just then, she opens her palms and creates ice while announcing that she's already better than her magic teacher at school. Surprised by this, Kaiser explains that ice magic is a technical application of water magic and asks her where she learned to use it. Meryl then explains that she's been experimenting with the water magic she learned from Kaiser. While flaunting her ice magic, Meryl says she'd prefer to learn from Kaiser while flirting with him than to go to class. Annoyed by this, Anna explains that Kaiser can't spend the entire day looking after her since he's busy with his own stuff, so she tells Meryl to go to class like everyone does. However, Meryl refuses and insists she'd like to stay home and flirt with her Kaiser. Suddenly, Anna gets pissed and yanks Meryl by her ears. When Meryl screams out in pain, Anna asks if she'll go to school properly and Meryl promises to do so. Facing Kaiser, Anna tells him not to worry since she'll make sure that Meryl goes to school responsibly. After this, Anna suggests that they make dinner and Murray asks what they're having for dinner. In response, Kaiser reveals they're having rabbit stew to celebrate Elsa's victory. When Meryl asks if there'll be dessert, Kaiser says they'll be having apple pie. On hearing this, Meryl dances in excitement and says Casier's apple pies are the best in the world. Meanwhile, Anna, who is so done with her drama, sighs and says bad students who skip school don't get dessert. Suddenly, Meryl breaks down in tears and begs not to be left out of the dessert plan, while promising to do as she's told. A few days later, someone approaches Kaiser where he worked, and announces that his shift is done for the day. Surprised at how fast time flies, Kaiser decides he'll go take a break, so he walks away and takes a seat. Just then, he realizes that it'll be harvest time soon, the time of the year when monsters come after their crops. He recalls the last demon attack and figures the demon must have come looking for crops to loot too. Then Kaiser considers the strength of the village and concludes the village people were no match against a strong monster like that, even though they knew their way around with a sword. However, since he's taken up the role of guardian, Kaiser has been able to fend off all the monsters and has taken other measures to protect the village. Suddenly, Kaiser's eyes were covered and someone asked him to guess who it was. In response, Kaiser says he's got no clues and asks for a hint. So Meryl says it's someone who loves him. However, Kaiser couldn't tell since there are lots of people who love him. After several hints, Kaiser still couldn't tell who it was. So Meryl introduced herself as the genius magician who loved him the most in the world. Just then, Kaiser takes off her hands and says it must be Meryl. Looking at the excited Meryl, Kaiser asks why she looks happy, and she says it's because it's fun to flirt with him. Kaiser then asked why she was out of school since it was still class time. He then asks if she's skipping classes again, but Meryl makes a goofy face and weird sounds. Kaiser then reminds her of her promise to go to school properly. After this, he adds that he also received a complaint from her teacher. Meryl's teacher had reported that she just sleeps and never listens at all during class. Furthermore, she only uses magic that wasn't taught during practice lessons and also defeats her teacher after challenging him. In her defense, Meryl says she decided to show him who's stronger because the teacher kept nagging. Just then, Meryl smiles and commends herself for beating her teacher badly. When she asks Kaiser to praise her, he tells her he can't praise her for something like that, surprising Meryl. After commending her skills, Kaiser tells her that the purpose of magic is not to hurt people, but rather to improve their lives. While Meryl feels dejected, Kaiser continues his speech, but gets interrupted by a colleague who then asks if he's returning home from work. When Kaiser says he's headed home, his colleague points out that the year's harvest is going to be the biggest they've ever had since the demons have not been able to harm the crops. In addition to this, his colleague points to the magical fence Kaiser built and says it has been quite helpful. Meanwhile, Meryl wonders what that means while staring curiously. Sensing this, Kaiser explains that the fence is reinforced with lightning magic to hit monsters with jolts of electricity if they try to attack the crops. Just then, Kaiser's colleague chips in that it's a great invention and adds that nothing feels as good as watching an annoying monster turn its tail and run away from the fence. After this, Kaiser's colleague promises to give him some crops once the harvest is done. Facing Meryl, he tells her to make sure she eats the vegetables and grows big. When Kaiser's colleague takes his leave, Kaiser tries to remember what he was saying and Meryl says she understands what he was trying to say. She then asks if Kaiser will praise her if she uses her magic to help people. When Kaiser says he will, Meryl lights up and decides to work hard to earn his praises. Just then, Kaiser helps Meryl up and thinks of how better the world will be if Meryl studies how to use her magic for the people. Meanwhile, Elsa and Anna sit at the table, trying to decide what to get Kaiser for his birthday. After a while, Elsa points out that it'll be a problem since Kaiser never talks about the things he likes. Anna then agrees with her since their father is neither a drinker nor a collector of things. Just then, Elsa suggests that they ask some of his friends for ideas. However, Anna says she already tried that but got nothing from it. Elsa then points out that they can't ask him and Anna adds that she'd like to keep it a surprise if possible. Just then, Elsa suggests that they try to cook something for him, but Anna says she thinks it's better if it's something he can keep, so they decided to get him an accessory since it's the safer choice. However, they put their money on the table and figured their savings wouldn't save them at this point. So while they try to figure out what to do, the door opens and Meryl announces that they're home. Meanwhile, Kaiser stares at the coins on the table and asks if they are up to something. In response, Elsa says she and Anna were just saving money. Hearing this, Kaiser tells them to let him know if they need anything. To divert Kaiser's attention, Anna points out that Meryl should be in school and asks why she's at home. Suddenly, Meryl loses her composure when Anna gets close to her. She then says she's got a good reason for being at home. While Anna tries to knock some sense into Meryl, Kaiser tells her to cut the spoilt brat some slack since he is sure she won't ever skip school again. While Meryl wonders what he meant by that, Kaiser reminds Meryl that she's found her calling with magic and adds that those who are motivated don't skip classes. Anna wasn't sure what Kaiser meant either, so she decided to forgive Meryl since Kaiser asked. However, she threatens to punish Meryl whenever she skips class, so Meryl makes a smug look and reassures her that she's going to be doing a lot of amazing things from that moment on. Suddenly, Anna punches Meryl and grabs her ear. After screaming from the pain, Meryl asks why Anna did that, and Anna says the smug look on her face was annoying. Just then, Kaiser says he's leaving to make dinner and tells them to get along. Immediately, he leaves the room. The conspiracy resumes and Meryl asks her sisters what they are talking about, so they filled her in on the plan. After this, they ask if she has any ideas and Meryl thinks about it for a while and proves she is truly empty-headed. Unsurprised by Meryl's handicap, Elsa and Anna decide to go with an accessory, so Anna tells her sisters to think of other options while she contacts her acquaintances. Sometime later, Anna speaks to one of her acquaintances who owns a store in town about the accessory. When he confirms that he has a chain that he got from doing business with a peddler, he then adds that he can neither wear it nor gift it to his daughter who married off and left. While Anna drools staring at the necklace, the store owner says it's been in his drawer gathering dust for a long time. Just then, Anna asks how much he'd like to sell it. In response, the store owner says he'd like to give it to her for free, but he's got a favor to ask. When Anna asks what it is, the store owner explains that the Harvest Festival is some days away and his store does a sale outside every year. Because of his injured leg, he won't be able to provide a good service to his customers since it's a big event and a lot of people will come. He requests that Anna and her sisters work at his store that day. When Anna expresses her surprise, the store owner promises to give her the necklace after the day's work is done. So, Anna agrees to take the offer, and they agree to meet in 4 days' time.